Hello, everyone. I decided I'm just going to record me working, which may be boring for some of you or ultimately interesting for others of you. But I'm going to talk through what's been going on with this channel. So I started posting a couple days ago. Today's what? April. What is today? The 26th. Really? Is it the 26th? No. 27th. Yeah. Um, my analytics are one day behind. Well, kind of. So that first video that I posted that I sent around to everyone, the one called Time to Tell the Story, that one has, according to this page, different pages it has different totals. According to this page, it has about 148 views, but it actually has more like 150, 160, something like that, which is great. That's that's the first one I send out, and so it should draw people to the site and pique their interest. I got a call yesterday from no day before yesterday. Everything's blending together as we are sheltered in place. The days, the times, but I got a call the day after I posted it from one of the most important people in this whole project. I can't even disclose that person. That's a part of the NDA. But that person called chomping at the bit saying, "But you didn't tell what the story's about." I'm like, "That's right." This is a long story and it's going to unfold. That person knows the whole story. And so it's that balance you have to do in production. You have to, well, number one, you have to maintain confidentiality. So you have to protect information. But that's a small percentage. I think I may have mentioned that. No, that's like a tiny percentage of everything that I can reveal. And so the reveal is there's so much to reveal, and so you got to figure out where to start. And I started with, now this is for your information, what I've been posting, and the B-roll in that first clip, Time to Tell the Story, was from day 7 of a 31 day, it was almost 5 weeks, 33 day research trip. So the project has included three research trips, and that was the first one, and it was just short of 5 week trip all over Europe, and that was day 7 of that trip. We went to 5 countries, historic sites, archives, restaurants. You'll see plenty of food in this show. But I started with that because that was, even though there were surprises for me all along, and continue to be incredible surprises, that's why I've been documenting it. The story I'm researching is incredible. The story I'm researching, when I first heard it, the specific story, if you haven't figured it out by now, the story involves the genocide, the first megadeath of the modern era. A megadeath is 1 million deaths. So this is a documentation of the first million deaths that were orchestrated by a government ever. The first megadeath ever orchestrated, planned by a government. That's one way of saying it. Another way to say it, probably more commonly referred to as the Armenian Genocide. It is bigger than the Armenian Genocide. The Armenians have been suffering with this story for a century. And when I stumbled across it, I had never heard about it. I mean, I had seen flags on cars in Glendale, California in 2015, as that's where I was working and my gym was there, and I see these flags on these cars driving by, and I think it was at the gym. I asked one of my friends, what's this all about? And that's when he mentioned the Armenian genocide. And at my age, I think that was the first time I'd ever heard of it. I can't imagine I hadn't heard that phrase before that time. But it whether I had or not, it should be known. Like, everyone should know. There are many stories I'm going to tell. But that was the beginning of 2015 was not the beginning of this journey. That's just the first time I heard it. It was 2017 that I started on this journey. And realizing what actually happened was it was the Armenian genocide, but the word genocide hadn't even been coined yet. The word didn't exist yet. So the people of that time had no way of fully expressing to the world what was actually happening. Let's take these glasses off. I don't need them right now. But what was the bigger picture of what was happening? It wasn't just one ethnic population that was targeted. And there were Greeks, Assyrians, some Kurds, but it was an ethno-religious cleansing. So we've heard of ethnic cleansing. This was a religious ethno-cleansing because it was targeting Christians, and that's just historically the fact. I've been in the research. I've been in the art. You'll see. I've been in the archives in London where I could read the language of the research. I took my historians with me to translate all the other languages that we researched. But in the English language archives in London, the correspondence between nations and between officials and between the war offices was the Christians are being butchered and massacred. So that's where I come in. That's where, I mean, it's a human story, so every human should care about this. But I also happen to, have grown up or have, I would call myself a man of faith, and the faith that I would closely associate with is Christianity. And so it's a poignant. I better not start just using words that I don't fully understand. I'd have to look it up in the dictionary and then put it into a sentence. That's what writing is for, so you don't embarrass yourself on camera. So, but this is raw and unedited. Let's get back to this story. It's going to unfold. I found an investor partner to help me with the travels, with the research, and some translation. It's a big project. And like I said in the other video, I'm sitting on terabytes of content like what you've been watching. And here, what I've been doing on the YouTube channel is I've just started uploading some of the raw footage. So what you've been watching is raw footage from one day, from the morning of one day. And maybe I should click around so this screen doesn't get boring. I picked this particular day. Let's watch a video. I picked this particular day because we visited one of the most significant locations concerning this story. This is Khor Virap, and it's a historic event happened in there. And if you watch the raw footage, I explain it in one of them. But this you can't see very well, but let me turn this a little bit. This is Mount Ararat. Okay, this is Turkey, and this is Armenia. Okay, this is Armenia, and this is Turkey, and that's Mount Ararat right there. So this is essentially at the foot of Mount Ararat, a historic location. So I picked this particular. We visited lots of gorgeous, incredible, historic, scenic places on this trip, especially the first research trip, the 5-week one. And so there's plenty more of this coming. But I wanted to start with this because of the surprise of it to me. I was just along for the ride, more or less. I had Armin. Hi, Armin. You're being mentioned by name. Call out, shout out. Hey, my little brother. Okay, this guy. I'll tell the story of how I met Armin and how he came into my life and how he'll never leave my life because he's just a part of my family. I am too sensitive. As my wife would say, I get too easily emotional. But is such a thing even possible? Is it possible to be too easily emotional about this kind of subject matter? Okay. Compose yourself. Raw and unedited. Okay, see? There was an emotional swell. Those will recur. You'll see those come out of me quite often in this footage, in some of this footage and here. So I'm already really long on this clip, so I'm going to cut it off here. But this was a surprise to me. This was the 7th day of the trip, and it happened to be a Sunday. And so they planned where we were going for me, Armin and Garo, our tour guide, and then Mike is the camera guy. I brought Armin and Mike to Armenia, and Garo was our man on the ground who was our tour guide, our fixer. We call him the fixer. He's that guy. He's a godsend. Look at it up in the dictionary. Godsend is Garo. He planned all this, so we got there, and this was on a Sunday. In this building, the footage, some of it you've seen, there's a worship service going on there. That building's been there for centuries. The pit that I went into is, well, the story from that pit is 1,700 years old. Okay, this is going way back. And to walk into that church on a Sunday, seeing the service has probably been going on there for centuries. Well, certainly for centuries, over a millennia, I would say. There may have been interruptions in the service, in the schedule of the Sunday services at some point in that time span, 1,700 years. But to be in a spot where people have been worshiping like that for roughly 1,700 years, to walk into there unexpected, working on a project of this nature, I got really emotional in there. I don't know if any of it's on camera, but I was standing there recording and tears were streaming down my cheeks. It was just a life-changing moment. And we'll end on that. I have to say this in these clips. Please share this. I think it's important, and this is how it's going to get out. This format, this YouTube thing, is how this story initially is going to get out. There's plenty of stuff in the works, but this is, if you want to go along for the ride and have people that you care about, people that would be interested in this, make a mental list of them right now, or actual physical list. Write down names and start sending links. Start sharing it. I got a lot of work to do. I'm going to be sending out, I've already sent out maybe 100 to 200 emails just with the links to get it started. I need you all to do the footwork to spread this, just even every day or every time it comes. You just send another link to somebody just for their benefit, not because I need traffic or whatever. I'm going to do this, put it up no matter what, but it's an important story that hasn't been told in 100 years.